Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we are diving into Of Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and this is where the real mindset shift begins. Chapter No. 1. The chapter is called The Rich Don't Work for Money, and it challenges one of the biggest beliefs most of us grow up with, that working hard for a paycheck is the path to wealth. Spoiler alert, it's not. Robert starts the chapter by sharing a story from when he was just 9 years old. He and his best friend, Mike, wanted to learn how to get rich. They were young, curious, and ambitious. So they asked Mike's dad, the man who would become Robert's rich dad, to teach them how to make money. But instead of giving them advice or handing over some cash, Rich Dad gave them a job, boring, low-paid one. They were earning 10 cents an hour. Even back then, that was barely anything. Now here's the point, this wasn't about the money. It was about the lesson. After a few weeks, Robert got frustrated. He wanted more pay. He felt like he was being taken advantage of. But when he confronted Rich Dad, that's when the real teaching began. Rich Dad explained that most people live their whole lives trapped by fear. Fear of not having enough money, fear of losing their job, fear of being broke. That fear forces them to work for money their entire lives. Then, once they start earning, they get a taste of comfort, and that's when greed kicks in. They want more, they spend more, and they stay stuck in the same cycle: work, earn, spend, repeat. According to Rich Dad, that emotional reaction, fear followed by desire, is exactly what keeps people stuck in what he calls the rat race. It's why people chase promotions, tolerate jobs they hate, or take on more debt thinking it'll somehow lead to happiness. They don't learn to think about money. They just react to it. Meanwhile, the rich, or those who become rich, don't work for money in the traditional sense. They focus on learning, on spotting opportunities, and on building systems that generate income. Instead of being controlled by money, they learn to control it. That's what Rich Dad was trying to teach Robert from the beginning. One of the biggest takeaways from this chapter is the idea that jobs are a short-term solution to a long-term problem. They might give you temporary income, but they don't build lasting wealth. If you are only working for a paycheck, then you are dependent on someone else, your boss, your company, the economy. But once you start to understand how money works, and how to build assets that generate income for you, that's when you start to gain real financial freedom. Another important idea in this chapter is that formal education doesn't teach us how to handle money. Robert's poor dad, who had advanced degrees and a stable job, still struggled financially. Why? Because he followed the traditional advice: get good grades, get a job, work hard, and save. But that path rarely leads to wealth. It leads to security at best, and financial stress at worst. So, Chapter 1 is really about mindset. It's about recognizing how emotions control most people's financial decisions, and about breaking free from that cycle. Rich Dad's approach wasn't just about making money, it was about teaching young Robert to think differently about money. Here are the key lessons you should walk away with. 1. Don't work just for money, work to learn. Build financial intelligence. 2. Fear and desire are emotional traps. Observe them instead of reacting to them. 3. Money should work for you, not the other way around. 4. The rat race is real, and escaping it requires a new way of thinking. That's Chapter 1 in a nutshell, and it sets the tone for the entire book. It's not just about getting rich. It's about developing the mindset and skills to take control of your financial life. Now we are starting Chapter 2. This is the chapter that will either wake you up or keep you broke. So grab a notebook, hit the like button, and let's jump in. Kiyosaki starts this chapter by making a bold claim. The problem with most people is not how much money they make. It's how they spend it. Let that sink in. Most people think they'll be financially free once they get a better job or a raise. But in reality, the more they make, the more they spend. Income alone doesn't create wealth. Financial literacy does. Real-life example. Ever heard of lottery winners who go broke in 5 years? Or pro athletes who make millions but file for bankruptcy? That's what happens when you have money, but no financial education. Financial literacy isn't just budgeting or saving money, that's a tiny part of it. According to Kiyosaki, real financial literacy means understanding how money flows through your life. What builds your wealth versus what drains it. How to read a personal financial statement. How to make money work for you. It's about learning the language of money, just like reading and writing, it's a skill. Most schools teach you how to work for money. They don't teach you how to make money work for you. Let's break this down because this is the most important thing in the entire book. Rule 1 of being rich. The rich buy assets. The poor and middle class buy liabilities, but they think they're assets. Examples side by side. Assets, liabilities. Rental property that pays you, house that costs you mortgage taxes. Stocks that pay dividends, a car that depreciates. Intellectual property, books, music, online courses, student loans. Businesses, consumer debt. Kiyosaki's bold statement. Your house is not an asset. Why? Because it takes money out of your pocket every month. That might sound crazy, but it's a game-changing perspective. Engagement prompt. Let me know in the comments, before this video, did you think your house was an asset? Be honest, no judgment. Here's the typical life cycle Kiyosaki describes. You go to school. Get a job. Get married. Buy a house. Have kids. Buy a nicer car. Take vacations. Take on debt. All while thinking you are doing well, because society tells you this is success. But underneath the surface? Debt, stress, financial pressure, and zero assets. This is what Kiyosaki calls the rat race. You are running faster, but you are not moving forward. Kiyosaki introduces something powerful, your personal financial statement. Forget just looking at your income. You need to know what you own, assets. What you owe, liabilities. How much cash flows in and out. Think of it as your personal wealth scorecard. Most people know their salary. Few people know their net worth. Mini exercise for audience. Pause this video and write down 3 assets and 3 liabilities in your life. This is your first step toward financial awareness. Kiyosaki says the rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. That's not just a catchphrase, it's a financial strategy. They build or buy real estate that generates rent. Stocks that pay dividends. Businesses that run on systems. Digital assets like courses or content. All these things produce income without trading time for money. That's called passive income, and it's the key to escaping the rat race. Most people don't realize this. Your money is under attack. Inflation eats your savings. Taxes eat your income. Debt eats your future. Kiyosaki argues that financially literate people understand how to legally reduce taxes, hedge against inflation, and use debt as leverage, not as a trap. Think about it. The poor fear debt. The rich use debt to build wealth. Financial literacy isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware and making smarter moves every day. You don't need to be rich to learn. You don't need a finance degree to start. You just need the desire to understand money instead of being controlled by it. If you've made it this far, comment below, I choose financial literacy. Let's start conversation and support each other. This was chapter 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now we are starting chapter 3 of Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, chapter that could change how you think about your job, your money, and your path to financial freedom. The title of the chapter is Mind Your Own Business, but it's not what you might think. Let's break it down and see what Kiyosaki is really trying to teach us about building wealth. What does mind your own business really mean? When you hear the phrase mind your own business, you probably think it means staying out of other people's affairs. But Kiyosaki flips that idea completely. He's not telling you to avoid other people's businesses, he's telling you to focus on building your own. Now, hold on a second. This doesn't mean you need to quit your job tomorrow or jump straight into entrepreneurship. What Kiyosaki is really saying is that you need to focus on your own asset column. Instead of working for someone else's business, you should start building your own financial future by acquiring income-producing assets. In simple terms, don't just work for money, make your money work for you. Lesson 1. Don't confuse your job with your business. This is a huge point in chapter 3. Kiyosaki makes a clear distinction between your job and your business, so many people confuse the two. Your job is not your business. Your profession is not your business. Whether you are a teacher, doctor, or even a CEO, that's not the business Kiyosaki is talking about. Your real business is your assets. These are investments, properties, stocks, or anything that generates passive income. For most people, their job pays their bills, but their business, their asset column, is what builds wealth. Think about it this way. If you are a doctor, your job is earning you a paycheck, but if you don't own income-generating assets, you are still working for money. If you own rental properties, stocks, or a small business, your money is working for you, even if you are still working your day job. Kiyosaki's rule here. Keep your daytime job, but start minding your own business. The idea is simple: keep your job to pay your bills, but start building your own business, an asset column that will work for you even when you are not working. Lesson 2. Focus on building your asset column. So what exactly should you be building? Your asset column. In chapter 3, Kiyosaki emphasizes that wealth is built by accumulating assets that generate passive income. These assets include things like real estate that generates rental income, stocks or bonds that pay dividends, businesses that make money without requiring your full-time presence, intellectual property like books, music, or patents. Kiyosaki's advice is clear: you need to reinvest your profits into more assets. This is how you create multiple streams of income and ultimately build wealth over time. But the key here is that passive income is the real goal. Work for money as little as possible. One of Kiyosaki's most famous quotes is, "The rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focuses on their income statements." Most people are focused on earning a paycheck, paying their bills, and living their lives. But Kiyosaki wants you to shift that focus to assets, things that make money while you sleep. Lesson 3. Don't fall for lifestyle inflation. As you begin earning more money, the temptation is real: upgrade your lifestyle. Buy the bigger house. Drive the nicer car. Take more expensive vacations. But Kiyosaki warns against this in chapter 3. This is the rat race, the cycle where you work harder just to afford a lifestyle that drains your wealth. He says, the moment you acquire luxury, it becomes a liability. Think about it. Every time you buy something expensive, whether it's a car, designer bag, or a bigger house, you are increasing your liabilities, not your assets. The wealthy understand this. They live below their means and focus on acquiring assets rather than upgrading their lifestyle. Here's Kiyosaki's advice: instead of spending more as you earn more, reinvest your extra income into assets that generate passive income. That way, you'll eventually have money working for you, and it's this money that can fund your lifestyle, not your paycheck. Lesson 4. Track your personal financial statement. Now, Kiyosaki takes things a step further in Chapter 3 by introducing the concept of tracking your finances like a business. You don't have to be a financial expert to understand this, but it's crucial to see your financial picture clearly. Instead of just focusing on your income, your paycheck, Kiyosaki suggests you start tracking both your income statement and your balance sheet. Your income statement tracks money coming in versus money going out, your salary, expenses, etc. Your balance sheet tracks your assets and liabilities, what you own versus what you owe. When you track your finances this way, it's easier to see where your money is going, where you can cut back, and how much you can reinvest in your own business, your asset column. Here's the takeaway: your assets should grow over time. If your liabilities are growing, you're on the wrong track. Lesson 5. The wealthy use corporations to build wealth. Kiyosaki also touches on something that many people don't know about: the power of corporations. Most people don't understand how the rich use corporations to their advantage. Here's the thing: when you earn money, you are taxed. But the rich use corporations to legally reduce their taxes and grow their wealth. For example, if you earn 100,000 from your job, you pay taxes on the full amount. But if you earn 100,000 from corporation, you can deduct certain expenses, business-related costs, before paying taxes. This is a game changer. While most people work for their income and pay taxes on what they earn, the rich understand the tax advantages of owning a business or corporation. Kiyosaki suggests that you start learning how corporations can help protect your assets and reduce your taxes legally. Final thoughts: mind your own business. So, what's the real takeaway from Chapter 3? It's simple: stop focusing on just your paycheck. Start focusing on building assets that generate passive income. Mind your own business by investing in things that put money in your pocket, and track your progress as you grow your asset column. Remember, your job pays your bills, but your assets build your wealth. That's it for Chapter 3. Now we are starting Chapter 4: The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. In Chapter 4 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki explains how financially educated people use the system to their advantage, especially when it comes to taxes and corporate structures. He contrasts the way the rich handle money versus how the poor and middle class deal with income and taxation. The core message is this: the rich don't pay taxes the same way the poor and middle class do, because they understand the power of corporations. A brief history of taxes. Kiyosaki begins by explaining that taxes were not always a permanent fixture. In fact, taxes were originally intended as temporary measures during wartime. Over time, governments realized they could generate ongoing revenue by taxing working-class citizens. The rich initially resisted, but when the masses were told that taxes would only apply to the rich, they supported the idea. However, the reality changed quickly. Once governments gained the power to tax, they extended it to the middle and lower classes. Meanwhile, the rich found ways to legally avoid or minimize taxes using corporations and tax laws. How the poor and middle class are taxed. Employees, who work for money, are taxed in a straightforward way. Earn, get taxed, spend what's left. This is the least efficient system because Taxes are taken out before the person receives their money. The more they earn, the higher their tax bracket becomes. They have few deductions or benefits available to them. Essentially, the harder they work for money, the more they're taxed. How the rich use corporations to their advantage. The wealthy use a different formula. Earn spend, through the corporation, get taxed on what's left. This is done by operating through corporations, legal entities that can earn income. Spend on business expenses, cars, travel, education, meals. Pay taxes only on net profits. Corporations allow the rich to deduct legitimate expenses before taxes. Split income in strategic ways. Defer taxes or reinvest in assets. Use legal loopholes that don't exist for employees. For example, if wealthy individual owns a company, their car, phone, travel, and even part of their home may be business expenses. These reduce taxable income before the IRS takes a cut. This is how the rich legally avoid paying as much in taxes. The key lesson: financial literacy, financial power. This chapter is not about cheating the system, it's about understanding it. Most people never learn how taxes actually work. Fear the IRS and avoid learning tax strategies. Are taught only how to earn wages, not manage income. Kiyosaki argues that the financially educated use the same system differently. The rich don't work harder. They work smarter. Individual employee versus corporation business. Individual employee earns income. Pays income tax first. Live off what's left. Few tax benefits. While business corporation earns income through business. Pays expense first. Pays tax on what's left after expense. Many legal tax deduction. This shift in structure is how the rich protect and grow wealth more efficiently. Why this knowledge is hidden from the masses. Kiyosaki suggests that the traditional education system prepares students to be employees, not owners. Rarely teaches taxes, investing, or legal structures. Benefits from students entering the workforce with little financial understanding. Rich Dad taught Kiyosaki to question the system and learn what the rich know, not just what schools teach. Mindset shift: think like an owner, not an employee. Kiyosaki emphasizes that the rich don't earn all their money through wages. Instead, they create businesses and assets. Learn how to protect income legally. Structure wealth in ways that give them control, flexibility, and protection. He encourages readers to start thinking like business owners, even if they still work jobs. Key takeaways from Chapter 4. 1. Taxes were originally meant for the rich, but now burden the middle and lower classes more heavily. 2. Corporations are powerful tools that allow the rich to reduce taxes and increase wealth legally. 3. Employees pay taxes first and live on what's left, but business owners spend first and pay taxes last. 4. Financial education includes legal and tax knowledge, not just earning and saving. 5. Think in terms of structures, not just income. Understand how money flows and how to control it. Real-world example. Imagine two people. John earns $1 lakh a year as an employee. He pays around 30% in taxes and lives on $70,000. Sarah owns a small business that earns $1 lakh. She deducts $40,000 in business expenses, car, office, travel, pays tax on $60,000, and reinvests the rest. Even though both made the same gross income, Sarah ends up keeping much more, not because she cheated the system, but because she understood how to use it legally. Final thoughts. Chapter 4 is one of the most eye-opening parts of Rich Dad Poor Dad. It shows that the rules of money are different depending on what side of the system you are on. The rich don't earn more simply because they work harder. They understand and use laws, taxes, and corporations to build and protect wealth. The rich understand the power of structures. The poor and middle class only understand how to work for money. Now we are starting Chapter 5. Why is it that some people build massive wealth from scratch while others stay stuck in the rat race their entire lives? In Chapter 5 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki shares a powerful truth. The rich don't just work for money, they invent it. This chapter isn't about tricks or shortcuts, it's about mindset, creativity, and financial intelligence. Stick around as we unpack exactly what that means and how you can start applying it today. Section 1. The meaning of inventing money. Robert Kiyosaki makes one thing clear: money is an idea. The rich understand that wealth is created through ideas, vision, and action, not just by working harder or saving more. When Kiyosaki says, the rich invent money, he's not talking about printing fake cash or gambling. He's talking about using your mind, your financial intelligence, to see opportunities that others miss. The rich don't rely on job security or salary raises. They rely on creativity, strategy, and calculated risk. Poor Dad believed in working hard, saving money, and playing it safe. Rich Dad believed in working smart, learning constantly, and being bold when opportunity knocks. In short, the poor and middle class see limitations. The rich see potential, even in chaos. Section 2: Why financial intelligence matters. Kiyosaki defines financial intelligence as the ability to solve money problems and see investment opportunities. It's not just about knowing numbers, it's about knowing what to do with those numbers. He breaks it down into 4 key areas. 1. Accounting: being able to read and understand financial statements. 2. Investing: knowing how to use money to make more money. 3. Markets: understanding how economic trends, timing, and demand affect investments. 4. The law: using corporate structures, tax codes, and legal systems to your advantage. The average person avoids these subjects. But the rich study them, not necessarily in school, but through experience, books, mentors, and trial and error. Kiyosaki says, money is only an idea. If you want more money, simply change your thinking. Section 3. Fear and doubt are the real enemies. Most people don't invent money because of one reason: fear. Fear of losing money. Fear of looking stupid. Fear of taking risks. And fear is amplified by doubt. When an opportunity arises, instead of thinking, how can I make this work? Most people think, what if I lose everything? Or, that's too risky. Rich Dad taught Robert that it's okay to be afraid, but what matters is how you respond. The rich train their minds to see failure as part of learning. Poor Dad wanted to avoid failure at all costs. Rich Dad said, failure inspires winners. Failure defeats losers. To invent money, you must be okay with uncertainty and develop the confidence to navigate it. Section 4. A real-life example. Kiyosaki shares a personal story that perfectly illustrates the principle of inventing money. He and his wife Kim found a small, run-down house listed below market value. Most people saw a risky property. But Kiyosaki saw potential. Using a small amount of capital, he quickly bought the house, cleaned it up, and sold it just a few days later for a $40,000 profit. That's inventing money. He didn't rely on a paycheck. He didn't use huge savings. He used his knowledge, his vision, and his willingness to act fast. This kind of deal isn't about luck, it's about preparation meeting opportunity. And most importantly, it's about having the courage to act when others hesitate. Section 5, Tools, Not Excuses. One of the biggest lessons from Chapter 5 is this: you don't need a lot of money to make money. People often say, it takes money to make money. But Kiyosaki flips that idea on its head. He argues that it actually takes knowledge, creativity, willingness to learn. In fact, having less money can make you more resourceful. It forces you to get creative and think outside the box. Kiyosaki writes, "The problem with it takes money to make money is that it encourages laziness and excuses. The real truth is, it takes dream, a lot of determination, willingness to learn quickly, and the ability to use your God-given assets properly." Section 6, Shift Your Mindset. The biggest barrier to wealth is not a lack of money, it's a lack of vision. Most people live by limitations. They say, I can't afford that. But the rich ask, how can I afford that? This small shift changes everything. It turns your brain into a problem-solving machine instead of a fear-based one. Kiyosaki calls this a mindset of abundance. The rich don't just wish for money, they actively seek out and create ways to build wealth. If you train your mind to think this way, you'll begin to spot opportunities all around you, opportunities others are blind to. Section 7, Key Takeaways. Let's recap the major lessons from Chapter 5. The rich don't work for money, they create it through knowledge and vision. Financial intelligence is your most valuable asset. Fear and self-doubt kill more dreams than failure ever will. You don't need more money, you need better strategies. Success isn't about avoiding risk, it's about managing it with education and creativity. Kiyosaki's message is clear: you have the power to invent money. But first, you must invest in your mind. Chapter 5 reminds us that wealth isn't something you chase, it's something you build from the inside out. So start learning, start creating, and start thinking like the rich. The more financially intelligent you become, the more power you have to invent your future. Now we are starting. Chapter 6, Work to Learn, Don't Work for Money. In Chapter 6 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki presents a mindset shift that many people overlook. Don't work for money, work to learn. He challenges the conventional belief that the purpose of a job is to earn a paycheck. Instead, he argues that the real value of a job is in the skills and knowledge it teaches you, especially if you want to become financially independent. Job security meant everything to my educated dad. Learning meant everything to my rich dad. The key message: learn skills, not just earn salaries. Most people work jobs they don't enjoy just for a paycheck or a promotion. But Kiyosaki emphasizes that this mindset traps people in the rat race, a cycle of earning money, paying bills, and never getting ahead. The rich, on the other hand, choose work based on what they can learn, not what they can earn. For example, you might take a sales job not because you want to be a lifelong salesperson, but because sales is a critical skill for business and entrepreneurship. You might work at a startup or small company to learn how businesses grow from the inside. Kiyosaki suggests that every job should be seen as an education opportunity, especially in your early career. Learn a little about a lot. Rich Dad told Kiyosaki, know a little about a lot. In contrast to specialists, who may master one narrow skill like accounting or engineering, entrepreneurs and investors must understand many interconnected areas. Sales, marketing, finance, leadership, communication, investing, Negotiation. Having broad, interdisciplinary knowledge allows you to spot opportunities, solve problems, and create value, all of which are essential for building wealth. The danger of specialization. Kiyosaki respects technical professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, but warns that being too specialized can limit your financial freedom. Specialists often depend entirely on their jobs and may lack the broader business or investing knowledge needed to grow wealth. For example, a brilliant engineer might be underpaid because they can't negotiate. A skilled doctor might make a high income but still struggle with debt because they don't understand investing or taxes. The world is filled with talented poor people. The takeaway is, skills make you money, not just your job title. Communication is one of the most valuable skills. One of the most powerful lessons in this chapter is the value of communication, particularly sales and marketing. Kiyosaki points out that the best product doesn't always win, the best known one often does. That's why it's crucial to learn how to sell your ideas, your products, your vision. He uses the example of a best-selling author, not a best-writing author. The ability to sell books is just as important as writing them. Top skills to learn, according to Kiyosaki. Sales. Marketing. Public speaking. Negotiation. People management. The power of job hopping, strategically. Rather than staying in one job for decades like his poor dad, Kiyosaki says he took many different jobs in his youth, not for money, but to learn specific skills. For instance, he worked for Xerox to learn sales. He joined the Marines to develop leadership and discipline. He started small businesses to understand entrepreneurship. This learning-focused, career approach builds a strong foundation for financial independence. You want to know a little about a lot if you want to be rich. Mindset shift, from employee to entrepreneur. Kiyosaki argues that most people are trained to be employees who trade time for money. Rich people focus on building systems, businesses, and investments that generate income without their direct involvement. To make this shift, you need to stop chasing job security and start seeking skill diversity. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this role? How will this experience help me create or manage assets? Which skill am I currently lacking that would make me more financially free? Key takeaways from Chapter 6. 1. Don't work for money, work to learn. Focus on gaining skills that build your financial intelligence and independence. 2. Avoid overspecialization. Broader knowledge across different fields increases your adaptability and wealth-building potential. 3. Sales and marketing are crucial. No matter your field, you need to know how to sell, persuade, and communicate effectively. 4. Be intentional with your career path. Choose jobs that teach you valuable, transferable skills, not just those that pay well. 5. Shift from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur's mindset. Seek opportunities to build and control assets. Real-world example. Imagine someone who's a graphic designer but wants to start their own agency. Instead of only perfecting design, they should learn sales to land clients, understand contracts and pricing to protect their income, study digital marketing to grow reach, learn basic finance to manage cash flow and taxes. By learning across disciplines, they shift from just doing work to owning a business, from employee to entrepreneur. Final thoughts. Chapter 6 is a powerful reminder that your career is your training ground, not your retirement plan. If you want to become financially free, you must prioritize education over compensation, learning over earning. The more specialized you become, the more you are trapped and dependent. Learn to become a generalist and you'll gain freedom. Now we are starting Chapter 7. In Chapter 7 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki highlights a powerful truth. What separates the rich from the poor isn't just financial knowledge, it's the ability to overcome mental and emotional roadblocks. Even with financial education, most people still struggle financially because they let fear, doubt, and bad habits control their actions. Kiyosaki uses this chapter to dig into the 5 biggest obstacles that prevent people from becoming financially free and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1. Fear, especially the fear of losing money. One of the most paralyzing emotions when it comes to money is fear, particularly the fear of losing it. For most people, this fear keeps them from taking risks, investing, or starting businesses. Instead, they choose the safe path, a steady job, savings account, and minimal exposure to risk. For most people, the reason they don't win financially is because the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. Robert Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki shares that everyone, including the wealthy, loses money at some point, but the rich have trained themselves to handle fear without being ruled by it. They see losses as lessons and part of the journey. He compares this to learning to ride a bike. You may fall, but you get up again. The same applies to money. Failure is a stepping stone, not a full stop. How to overcome fear? Acknowledge it but don't submit to it. Start small with your investments and learn from the experience. Accept that losses are part of growth. Obstacle 2. Cynicism, listening to doubters and inner criticism. Cynicism is the voice of doubt that can come from ourselves or from others. It often manifests as, what if, thoughts. What if the market crashes? What if I lose everything? What if I look stupid? These doubts stop people from taking action. Kiyosaki emphasizes that while caution is good, paralysis by analysis is not. Cynics often miss opportunities because they overthink and underact. He warns against listening to people who are more afraid than informed. Many people offer opinions based on fear or inexperience. Instead, seek advice from those who have been where you want to go. How to overcome cynicism? Do your own due diligence, facts over fear. Take advice from successful people, not fearful ones. Focus on opportunities, not only obstacles. Obstacle 3. Laziness, disguised as being busy. Laziness, in this context, isn't always lying on the couch doing nothing. It's often masked as busyness. People fill their lives with tasks, work, errands, distractions to avoid dealing with their finances, dreams, or uncomfortable truths. For instance, someone may say they're too busy to learn about investing or start a side business. In reality, they're just avoiding the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. Kiyosaki points out that laziness is often tied to poor prioritization. Instead of making time to build assets, people focus on paying bills and surviving paycheck to paycheck. Busy people are often the laziest. They stay busy as a way of avoiding something they do not want to face. Robert Kiyosaki. How to overcome laziness. Define a clear reason why you want to be financially free. A strong purpose fuels action. Schedule time weekly to improve your financial knowledge. Replace time-wasting habits, e.g., endless TV or social media, with productive learning or planning. Obstacle 4. Bad habits, especially the habit of paying everyone else first. A major habit that Kiyosaki criticizes is the common practice of spending all your income on expenses and bills, leaving nothing to invest. He introduces the concept of pay yourself first, meaning that before you pay rent, bills, or buy things, you set aside money for your savings and investments. This takes discipline because it might feel uncomfortable, especially if money is tight. But this habit builds the mindset of wealth. When you treat your investments as non-negotiable, you force yourself to think more creatively and take control. If you cannot get control of yourself, do not try to get rich. Robert Kiyosaki. How to replace bad habits. Build a habit of automated saving and investing, even small amounts. Cut unnecessary expenses and redirect funds toward assets. Monitor your spending patterns and consciously adjust them. Obstacle 5. Arrogance, thinking you know it all. Arrogance, Kiyosaki explains, is ignorance in disguise. It's when people don't know something, but instead of asking or learning, they pretend they do. This attitude prevents growth and causes people to make poor financial decisions. For example, someone may invest in a hot stock without research because they assume they know what they're doing. Or they may ignore good advice because they don't want to look weak or uninformed. Kiyosaki urges readers to always stay humble and open to learning, especially when dealing with money. The market changes. Laws change. New opportunities arise. Only those who keep learning stay ahead. How to overcome arrogance. Read, listen to mentors, attend seminars, stay educated. Don't let ego block your growth. When in doubt, ask questions, even if they seem basic. Final thoughts from Chapter 7. At its core, Chapter 7 is about self-mastery. The journey to financial freedom isn't just about mastering investments or accounting, it's about mastering your mindset. These obstacles live inside all of us, but the wealthy have learned to manage and rise above them. Kiyosaki doesn't promise an easy path. But he does offer a hopeful one, if you are willing to. Confront your fears. Challenge your doubts. Discipline your habits. Stay humble, and keep learning. Success with money starts within. Now we are starting. Chapter 8 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, titled, Getting Started, Robert Kiyosaki moves from mindset and theory into practical action. After helping readers understand financial literacy, asset building, and overcoming internal obstacles, this chapter provides a roadmap to begin your journey toward financial freedom. Kiyosaki emphasizes that knowledge without action is useless. Many people wait for the right time or more resources before taking steps. This chapter encourages readers to start where they are, with what they have, and to grow from there. The 10 steps to getting started. Kiyosaki outlines 10 actionable steps that anyone can take to begin building wealth. These steps are not rigid instructions, but principles and habits that shift your thinking and behavior toward a more financially empowered life. Step 1. Find reason greater than reality, the power of spirit. Your why is your motivation, and it must be strong enough to push you through fear, doubt, and setbacks. Most people don't stick with financial goals because they're driven by weak motivations like, I want more money. Kiyosaki recommends digging deeper. Your reason might be, I want to give my family better life. I want to be free from a job I hate. I want to travel the world without money stress. Action tip: write down your personal why and read it often to stay focused. Step 2. Make daily choices, the power of choice. Every day, you are either building your future or sabotaging it through your choices. That includes how you spend your time, spend your money, treat your health, choose your influences. Rich Dad taught that your financial life is the sum of your daily decisions, not just big moments. Action tip: choose to spend at least a little time each day learning about money, investing, or improving yourself. Step 3. Choose your friends carefully, the power of association. Kiyosaki explains that you become like the people you spend time with. Surrounding yourself with financially smart people can change how you think and act about money. He doesn't say avoid your poor friends, but rather learn from both groups. Rich friends may expose you to new opportunities. Poor friends can remind you of what to avoid. Action tip: seek mentors, attend seminars, or join online communities that focus on wealth building. Step 4. Master a formula and then learn a new one, the power of learning quickly. Kiyosaki explains that the world is full of financial formulas, from saving money in a room, to flipping real estate. Many people get stuck on just one method for life. The wealthy constantly learn and adapt. They study trends, learn from other successful people, and experiment with new ideas. Don't just follow one strategy. Stay open-minded and keep evolving. Action tip: master one financial strategy, then expand your toolkit by learning another. Step 5. Pay yourself first, the power of self-discipline. One of the most famous lessons in the book, Pay Yourself First. This means saving and investing before you pay your bills, no matter how uncomfortable it is. This forces you to prioritize your future. Think creatively about covering expenses. Build self-discipline. Kiyosaki argues that building wealth is a battle of willpower, and paying yourself first builds financial strength. Action tip: automatically direct portion of your income into savings or investment accounts before paying bills. Step 6. Pay your brokers well, the power of good advice. Many people try to save money by avoiding advisors, real estate agents, or financial planners. Kiyosaki disagrees. He says you get what you pay for, and good professionals can help you make more money than they cost. He suggests rewarding people who help you grow wealth. They'll want to help you even more in the future. Action tip: build a team of professionals, accountants, lawyers, agents, and treat them well. Step 7. Be an Indian giver, the power of getting something for nothing. This idea refers to getting your investment capital back as quickly as possible so the rest is house money. For example, if you buy property and refinance it to get your initial investment back, your returns become infinite. Or if you invest in a business and break even in a few months, the rest is profit. The point is to invest with a plan to recover your money, reducing risk and accelerating growth. Action tip: think creatively about how to minimize risk and maximize return early in any deal. Step 8. Use assets to buy luxuries, the power of focus. Poor people buy luxuries with income, rich people buy assets first, then use the returns to fund luxuries. Instead of buying a new car with your paycheck, buy a rental property. Let the rental income fund the car payment. This discipline keeps your money working and helps you enjoy luxuries without going into debt. Action tip: when you want to buy something big, first invest in an asset that can fund it. Step 9. Choose heroes, the power of inspiration. Heroes are people who have already done what you want to do. They can be real-life mentors or public figures like Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Oprah, etc. Kiyosaki explains that heroes inspire us to believe what's possible. By studying their habits, attitudes, and strategies, you speed up your own learning. Action tip: read biographies, watch interviews, and model the behavior of your financial heroes. Step 10. Teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. Teaching others what you've learned helps reinforce your own understanding. More importantly, it reflects the idea that wealth flows through generosity. When you give your time, knowledge, or resources to help others, it often comes back to you in unexpected ways. The more I teach, the more I learn. Robert Kiyosaki. Action tip: share financial tips with your family, kids, or friends. Start a blog, group, or just have open conversations about money. Final thoughts from Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is a powerful turning point in the book. It shifts from awareness and education to action and intention. Kiyosaki's 10 steps are not quick fixes, they are lifelong principles designed to build the habits, mindset, and behavior of the wealthy. The real message? You don't need to wait for a raise, a lucky break, or a perfect time. You can start your journey to financial independence right now, one step at a time. Now we are starting. Chapter 9. Still want more? Here are some to-dos. In this final chapter of Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki transitions from mindset and theory to practical action steps. He understands that many readers are now motivated but might be wondering, where do I start? This chapter provides a roadmap, 9 specific to-dos that anyone can begin doing immediately to develop their financial intelligence and start moving toward financial freedom. 1. Stop doing what you are doing. Kiyosaki starts with a wake-up call. If what you are doing financially isn't working, stop. Most people continue to repeat financial mistakes out of habit. Whether it's working paycheck to paycheck, living beyond your means, or saving money in a low-interest savings account, these actions won't lead to wealth. Lesson: take a hard, honest look at your current financial habits and be willing to change. Doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Action: write down your current financial habits. Which ones are working? Which ones are not? 2. Look for new ideas. Wealthy people are open to new ideas and constantly learning. Kiyosaki says poor and middle-class people often cling to outdated thinking or fear change, while the rich embrace innovation. Whether it's learning about real estate investing, stocks, crypto, or starting a business, financial education is an ongoing journey. He encourages reading books, attending seminars, listening to financial podcasts, and talking with entrepreneurs and investors. Example: if you've never invested in real estate, read a book on rental property investing or attend a local meetup group. Action: subscribe to one new financial education podcast or YouTube channel today. 3. Find someone who has done what you want to do. Instead of reinventing the wheel, Kiyosaki advises finding mentors and role models, people who have already achieved the kind of success you are aiming for. You learn faster and more effectively when you are guided by someone who's been there. Look for people who are actively investing, building businesses, or creating multiple streams of income, not just talking about it. Example: if you want to build a real estate portfolio, find a successful landlord or property investor who's already done it. Action: reach out to someone you admire and ask for a coffee or short chat. Offer to help or intern if needed, just get close to their mindset. 4. Take classes and buy educational tools. Kiyosaki believes in investing in financial education. He's not talking about traditional college, he's referring to real-world financial learning. He says most people are too frugal when it comes to education but have no problem spending money on liabilities, like TVs, cars, or gadgets. Financial education is an asset and it pays the best dividends. Example: buy a course on investing, or enroll in weekend seminar on entrepreneurship. Don't worry about the cost if the value is there. Action: set aside a monthly education fund and spend it only on books, courses, or tools that grow your money knowledge. 5. Make lots of offers. Kiyosaki explains that many people wait for the perfect deal, but action takers win. He advises readers to start making offers on businesses, properties, stocks, or partnerships. Don't be afraid of hearing no. Every no gets you closer to a yes. Rich people don't sit back, they test ideas and try things, even if they fail. Example: if you are into real estate, make multiple low offers. One might get accepted. If you are into freelancing, pitch clients constantly. Action: make one offer today, on a job, a deal, a product, or an opportunity. Start building momentum. 6. Think big. Kiyosaki warns against small thinking. He says that small goals create small results. To build wealth, you need big vision and boldness. If you aim for $1,000 a month in passive income, you might get there slowly. But if you aim for $10,000 a month, your strategy changes. You start thinking bigger, looking at commercial property, franchises, online businesses, etc. Example: don't just save for retirement, create a plan to be financially free by 40 or 50. Action: write down your biggest financial goal. Now double it. Start asking, what would I have to learn or do to reach that level? 7. Learn from history. Kiyosaki emphasizes the value of understanding economic cycles and historical patterns. The rich pay attention to how markets behave, while the poor are often blindsided by crashes or inflation. From the Great Depression to the 2008 housing crash and beyond, money has always shifted, but the patterns are visible for those watching. Example: study the 2008 recession. What caused it? Who profited from it? Action: spend 30 minutes today reading about one major financial event in history. 8. Take action. This is the most important step of all. Without action, knowledge is useless. You can read all the books, take all the courses, but unless you apply what you learn, nothing changes. Wealthy people act. They take calculated risks, fail, learn, and try again. They don't wait for permission. There is gold everywhere. Most people are not trained to see it. Example: if you've read a book on investing, don't just shelf it, open a brokerage account and buy a small amount of stock. Action: take one financial action today that feels uncomfortable but productive. 9. Teach and share what you learn. Kiyosaki believes the best way to learn something is to teach it. When you explain a concept to others, whether it's your kids, friends, or online community, you reinforce it in your own mind. And as you help others grow financially, you build relationships, opportunities, and trust. Example: start a blog or YouTube channel documenting your financial journey. Share lessons from books like this one. Action: share one financial insight with someone today. Make it a habit. Final takeaway: create your own path to wealth. Chapter 9 is not just a conclusion. It's a call to action. Kiyosaki doesn't claim to have all the answers. What he does have is a mindset and process that leads to wealth. He wants you to start where you are, with what you have, and begin growing your financial intelligence today. You are only poor if you give up. The most important thing is that you did something. Most people only talk and dream of getting rich. You've done something. I hope you like this video. For more such content, subscribe and like the video. See you soon in next video.